This podcast is proudly brought to you in part by our wizards on Patreon. If you would like to support positive content, hop on over to patreon.com/MissMaryLou. That's patreon.com/MissMaryLou. Yesterday, I was clever, so I wanted to change the world. Today, I am wise, so I am changing myself. Rumi. I was perusing the internet for positive quotes, and this one jumped out at me because I feel like, I know growing up, like I've heard people, and I'm sure I've done this as well, being like, oh, like I wish that this other thing was different. Right? We complain all the time. I wish this other person was different. I wish that this wasn't that way. This other thing wasn't this way. And like we can harp on the things that aren't. And really, we only have control over ourselves. And even then, only so much. I know you've probably heard the term like, be the change you want to see in the world. Stuff like that. I know it might sound kind of cheesy, but like I really think that makes a difference, right? Like this podcast was kind of started as an experiment. Like I was a huge pessimist for a really long time, disguised as a realist. And I just felt like my entire world and the world outside was just a horribly, horribly negative place. And I kind of realized, yes, there are horrible, horrible things in the world, but like my internal world, the turmoil that was in was just overwhelming so much. It was actually covering up other things that were good. Like something would be in front of me plain as day, and I wouldn't be able to see the good in it, or I wouldn't be able to see that it was a positive thing just because it's almost like you just have this like thunderstorm veil over your eyes on the inside. At least that's what it was for me. And I decided that I needed to make some changes for me. And thus this podcast was born. Powerpuff Girls, anybody. So yeah, today I am wise, so I'm changing myself. We can actually do something about ourselves. And yes, venting and expressing your feelings is healthy. It's good to get it out of you. But really, so much of it is just going to be complaining that someone else is this way or this thing happened like that without really being able to do any change, without being able to do anything about it. And that's frustrating and kind of just leads, honestly, to like an endless pit of complaining, which that sounds like the worst thing. So yeah, yesterday I was clever, so I wanted to change the world. Today I am wise, so I am changing myself. And of course I'm viewing like the change the world as in the change all the little things and like people's behaviors that I don't like about the world. And we can't do that. Can't do that at all. So yeah. Focus maybe a little more inward sometimes instead of outward. I'm saying like be kind to yourself. Ooh, self-compassion. That's a whole journey that I am still on and will be on for a long time. But you get the gist of what I'm saying, my friends. Hello and welcome back to another episode of PositiviTea. This is the feel-good podcast where I bring you good vibes by the spoonful. I am your host, Miss Mary Lou Ryan, and I'm so happy you're back, my Tea Time fam, my podcast wizards, super wizards, everybody. It's just so wonderful that you are here. And I know I talked about something last week on the podcast, and I have seen some of you from the podcast fam hop on over. I have been streaming live on Twitch at 7 p.m. Pacific on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and then at noon on Sundays live on YouTube. And I've been reading classic children's stories. Right now, we're still reading The Wizard of Oz. I love reading kids' books, and I appreciate you for all of your support. Oh my goodness gracious. It's just, it's been wonderful. And it was a really good test run week or so that I think that this is a good thing to do. I think that it's a sign that I need to keep going. So I really, really appreciate all of that kindness over there. And I realized I didn't say what kind of tea I was drinking last week. I published the podcast, and I think it was like 2 days later, I was like, oh no, I didn't say what tea I was drinking. So today, friends, I am drinking an interesting version of tea that some of you have probably heard of, but didn't know that it was tea. I am drinking kombucha today. This is a citrusy kombucha. It's got lots of like orange in it, so it's on the sweeter side. But yeah, kombucha is fermented tea, for those of you that didn't know. There's a whole like process and everything that goes into it that I don't know the details about yet, but I'll probably be talking about it more on the YouTubes, so stay tuned for that. But yeah, kombucha, it's bubbly. I love it. I don't really drink alcohol much at all, like very occasionally, and I don't drink soda. No, soda water sometimes. But I do still like carbonated beverages. Now, you can buy high alcohol kombuchas, which I've had, like as high as 7% or higher. But this one, it's technically, the alcohol content is so small that they can legally sell it as a non-alcoholic beverage, like it's less than 0.5%. So I like that because I want to be able to drink it because it's really, really delightful. And I don't know if you can see, those of you watching the show on YouTube. Oh no, my teacup is like a little, don't spill it. Goodness gracious. It's pink. That's all I'm trying to say. It's pink and sparkly. And again, we're in the warmer parts of the month, so I definitely was feeling iced. Although I've noticed that I don't let that in general keep me from having hot tea, especially like when I go out places. I almost always will order hot tea, and then I have like iced versions at home. I don't know, maybe I'm too frugal with my air conditioning. But yeah, I enjoy it very much. Oh, and I know I had been drinking cold brew a lot recently that I had talked about on the podcast. Have any of you tried making cold brew? How's that been going for you? I am the most curious. I had a little bit earlier today. The only thing is the cold brew I've been making is a particularly strong tea, like a very high caffeine content black tea, and I can only drink just a little bit of it. Oh, and also, this is a thing. I don't know if I mentioned this before. We're just talking a lot about tea today, I suppose, and that is what it is. I have been keeping a container in the refrigerator that already has almond milk and maple syrup mixed together. So that way it's like a milk and sugar combo ready to go, and I just pour it in my cold brew. Like maple syrup is so perfect for iced drinks because it's already a liquid and it can mix well with other cold liquids, unlike something like honey. So yes, it's just magic, and then I have it all together and then I just go bloop and put it in my tea, and it's freaking magic. Yeah, but today, right meow, we're doing some pink kombucha, and I am really excited about it. Yes, I'm drinking it out of a teacup because it makes me feel fancy. So, on to our first segment, our self-care experiment. So, to recap, last time on the podcast, we talked about how I was asking for what I need. As a recovering perfectionist, I'm not afraid to say that, and I think the more that I say it, the more kind of like comfortable I become with it. Because, okay, sidetrack here. Growing up as a perfectionist, it's kind of really dual-sided, right? So like I was an exceptionally good student and whatnot. I worked really, really hard. I got really good grades, etc., etc. But on the other hand, like internally, it was just, I was torturing myself and didn't like it very much, had severe anxiety and panic disorders, etc., etc. So, like, from an outside perspective, it was like, oh, like, Mary Lou, baby Mary Lou is such a good student, and whatever she's doing is working. But I was super miserable, so it's a complicated thing, I suppose. But anywho, so recovering perfectionist me, um, in regards specifically to this whole like production interwebs thing that I have going, it was just too much. It was too much for me to keep up with a 3 video a week schedule, and my brain was like, and I knew that I wanted to keep doing it because it felt right, it felt like the right thing to do, and I didn't want to stop. I just needed to lighten the workload. So, what did I do? My spectacular sister-in-law said that she would help me edit, and I asked her to do so. And you know what? The first episode that she edited, Hey Liz, love you, came out this week, and it was great. It was great. You know, I know like not having control over every single aspect of things that I am producing is a little scary because control and perfectionism are big things that go together. I'm like, oh my God, someone's going to be looking at my face. I was even nervous while recording. I was like, someone else is going to be watching this footage back. That's not me. But you know what? I threw in a couple extra jokes in there just for her. Not even for the episode. I ended up having a lot of fun, and the final result was great. And you know what? It made my life easier. And wasn't that the freaking point? I was, again, a little nervous to not just not have control. Just not have control. That's all it comes down to. But I just had to put a little trust in something. And I was like, it's not going to be the end of the world. Worst case scenario, the episode turns out terribly, I guess. But I knew it wasn't going to be worst case scenario because A, she's like my sister, so she knows me really well. And B, I know that she's done this for a living before. Like, she's a professional editor. It's like you just gotta take a deep breath, let her have fun with the edit, blah, blah, blah. And she did, and it was freaking awesome. And I felt A, really good about the edit, and B, just really nice that I had the time. And I even, for this week, I gave her footage ahead of time for an episode that's going to launch mid-September that I have everything for already, etc., etc. And it just kind of opens up possibilities. And on top of that, because I knew that I needed more space, I knew I needed more help. So I was talking to a couple of friends, and my girl Shinova, who, if you don't know, by the way, look her up on Spotify and YouTube, all the places, my purple-haired pop star friend, I adore her. She was like, you should take some editing off of your plate by live streaming. And I was like, oh, you know what? That's a really good idea, which is why I'm doing a large reason why I'm doing all of this like Wizard of Oz children's book reading streaming that I mentioned earlier. It's just like I wanted a way to continue to produce positive content for the world, but I didn't want to feel like I was drowning. So I had my like first official full week of streaming, and it was really fun. You know, granted, it's like you set up for a shoot, whatnot, but you don't have the entire long post-production process, which was really, really wearing me out. And it's so delightful and wonderful, like, to see people there and have their immediate feedback and their thoughts about what we're reading, especially, like, The Wizard of Oz has a movie companion, so we do a lot of talk about comparison between the two, etc., and it's freaking wonderful. Okay, so that was last week. So this current week, I feel like, is a culmination of a few different things that I have talked about during Positivity in the past, even like months and months ago. And I have been calling it grounding tent poles. So grounding tent poles, what does that mean? I'm so glad you asked me. Grounding tent poles, just having things that I do in my day that are already a part of my routine, and taking that as a time to just be where I am, be in the moment, breathe, just really enjoy what I'm doing in that moment. So, what are some examples of this? Well, I've always found that preparing tea for me is a very meditative process. I love picking out a tea kettle, or I love smelling all the different teas. You just get as many senses involved and possible as what you're doing. I love like touching the cool glass containers and feeling the shape of the teacup that I'm going to use, and then pouring the water and listening to it boil, and then the sound that the tea makes when you drop it in to brew, etc., etc., and everything to the steam on your face and the taste in your mouth. And I find it incredibly grounding because I just take those few minutes for myself and think about just what I'm doing, and not only thinking about what I'm doing, but really enjoying what I'm doing as fully as possible, as in with as many senses as possible. I may have talked about that specifically before, but that's a regular tent pole. Even if I don't like brew hot tea every day now and I'm just doing cold brew, I still really enjoy putting it together. I really enjoy drinking it, etc., etc. Another one that I realized was a grounding tent pole for me is my cats. So they each have different like times of day and different ways that they like to snuggle. And Pippin in particular is ridiculously snuggly. My little tuxedo kitty with the Marilyn Monroe mole on his little cheek, who squeaks. He doesn't really meow. He has a very high-pitched squeak, and he's just freaking adorable. He's actually right next to me right now on top of my refrigerator taking a nap, and my other cat, Mr. Mary, is on the counter right across from me. So it's kind of cool that they're actually kind of secretly, but not so secretly now, with me while I'm recording this. But Pippin really loves to... It's not like I'm spooning my cat, but he likes to do like floor cuddles, or like late at night he likes to do cuddles on the bed, where basically like he's lying down flopped on his side and I'm lying down behind him with like my face at like his mid back level, and then I just like pet him with both hands, and he's a purring machine. And like I just kind of have been taking the time to listen to him purr, to feel the vibrations of his purr and how fluffy he is. Notice how he reacts when he needs his paws, when he closes his eyes, when he turns over, rolls over on his little belly. He has a great cat smell. I know this happens with like children, obviously, but do any other cat owners notice that their cats smell freaking awesome? Because, meh. Yeah, and just like really enjoying it and enjoying him, enjoying cuddle time is just like, it's so, so wonderful. So that's another tent pole there. And I'm trying to like kind of just take notice of these little grounding tent poles. I'm sure that there are more, but I was really trying to focus on my cats this week, which like isn't a bad thing. Or, you know, certain moments with my fiance, just like really taking the time to just sit there and enjoy each other, etc., etc. So yeah, working on identifying for myself these grounding tent poles so that I know I have just like little moments throughout the day where I kind of just bring myself back. I, you know, bring back any crazy racing thoughts that I have, or any like dark, sad things I'm experiencing, etc., etc. And, you know, I do want to say, I do just want to throw out there our good old motto here: seek help. You're worth it. Seek help. You're worth it. Like I really do mean it, friends. Like I know I talk about self-care experiments, and I try to be encouraging with your community news, etc. But if what you're experiencing is really affecting your daily life, I do encourage you to seek help. I'm not a doctor by any means. I am just like a person that is very familiar with their own mental illness. But like if you're struggling and it's affecting your everyday life, seek help. You're worth it. Talk to your doctor, find a medical professional to chat with and see what the best options for you are. I want to bring that home and, take the steps you need to take and also really enjoy snuggling your cat. Community news. Welcome to Community News. This is the part of the podcast where I take good news from you, the listeners, and I give you a little shout out and celebrate your general awesomeness. So, these community news shout outs are all from my new Discord. Huzzah! The Tea Time Fam official Discord. With everything from like a chronic illness check-in chat to pictures of all of our pets or crafting projects and cozy homes. It's really a wonderful place and I just adore it so much. So I went ahead and I sourced from my Discord Tea Time Fam for some good news. The link, if you do want to join the Discord, is going to be in the show notes down below or above, wherever your show notes are. I don't know. This first one is from Nico is Sleepless, and Nico says, I finally got past a level in a video game that took me several days to beat. Yes, Nico, you are a video game accomplishing things wizard. Oh my goodness. There is nothing, okay, there are things, but it feels so good to after struggling and maybe feeling frustrated, you stick with the thing, you finally do the thing, and you know what? You did it. You didn't give up. You kept at it for a few days, and I know video games, for me and a lot of people, they just bring joy. They're so fun. They're this like incredible technology, sometimes in the palm of your freaking hand, and it's just... oh, I love it so much. So, yay nerd power, yay video games, and like, yay you're a video game conquering wizard, an official video game conquering wizard. You have that title. I have dubbed it unto thee. Please feel free to write it all over your notebooks, etc. I think that's wonderful. I'm so happy for you. You go. You're a wizard. Next, we have from Malicious Jester, who said, I walked in the Pride Parade. Yes, you freaking did. You proud wizard, you. Yes, that's incredible. Good for you. I just love it. I love it so much. It's just a great feeling to come together with others that you can identify with, relate to, who have gone through some of the same things that you do, who celebrate some of the same things that you do, and then to celebrate that together. And you just didn't watch the Pride Parade, which is also a wonderful thing, and I have watched many a Pride Parade, but you were in the Pride Parade. You decided to be a part of something that, like I said, all these people who are celebrating and bringing forward to the world all of these things, and it's really, really important, and it's a wonderful, wonderful tradition. So, Jester, you're a wizard. You're a proud, prideful wizard, and I'm so proud of you for taking the initiative and doing something that is important to you and important to a lot of people. So, yes, wizard, yes. And then last on Discord here, this is from Quantum Cyclop, and they say, I'm finishing my work contract and starting university this week. It's very stressful, but I'm glad I'm going to the next step in my life. You are an accomplishing student wizard! Oh my goodness. So, not only are you finishing up a job, like jobs are jobs. We all know what jobs are like, but you are choosing to transition into the next phase, which is official learning. You're an official learning student wizard, and it's just like a magical time of year. Any of you that are starting classes, whether you're a teacher or a student, or you're anyone that works in education, happy back to school. I just like, education is just so important. I love academia, a lot of it. I love learning. It makes me happy. And you know what? You love learning too. You're doing the thing. So, Quantum Cyclop, you are like balancing being an adult and also being a student, and that can be a lot to accomplish, and you're doing it. You're doing the thing. You've worked. Now you're going to uni, and I know that it's stressful, but I hope that it's worth it for you. And I am super excited to see what you do next. Good news, everyone! I have good news. Welcome back to our last segment on the podcast for today, Community News, where I dive into the depths of the interwebs every week and find a piece of good news for you. Again, it is important to stay aware and to learn about the happenings in the world, but it is not a good thing to become completely paralyzed because of the anxiety from it all. It's not good to not be a functioning human. So I'm here to remind you, there is always good news. And this article jumped out at me. It's just a super fun one this week. And this is titled, Why This Man Has Become Internationally Beloved for His Dad Jokes on a Roadside Sign. So just a little bit of backstory. Vince Rozmierek, who lives in the tiny Colorado town of Indian Hills, has achieved what generations of fathers have striven for. He has become internationally beloved for his dad jokes. This is from MSN.com. And I am just gonna read you today some of my favorite roadside sign dad jokes. All right? Are you ready? Are you ready for some puns, my friends? This is just, I'm excited. Cows have hooves because they lactose. I probably shouldn't explain all of these after they happen because that I've heard explaining ruins things. So I'm just because they lactose. Oh my goodness gracious. All right, here are some more, and he posts about 2 new puns every week on this community center sign. So it's like out in the community that people read as they drive by. And like I said, it changes multiple times a week. So how fun just to be like, ooh, what is it going to say today? Ooh, what is it going to say today? I love that so much. It's just a way, like he's brightening his world and he's delighting from it. But then like the community itself and now internationally is like benefiting from this wonderful man's humor. Okay. So here's some more puns. I call my horse Mayo and sometimes mayonnaise. A bike in town keeps running me over. It's a vicious cycle. If a cow doesn't produce milk, is it a milk dud or an udder failure? I don't know. What do you think? If a cow doesn't produce milk, is it a milk dud or an udder failure? I mean, I like the idea of a cow being a milk dud. I think that's a very funny image in my head. A group of motorcyclists actually rode over from Wisconsin to Colorado to take a picture with a cheese-related pun. And like they were actual people that made cheese. And so, of course, he set up a special one just for them that said, to the cheesehead bikers who rolled through, looking sharp. Meh. And I mean, honestly, that's pretty much it. That's all the That's all the quotes I have for you. He had one particular happenstance where he posted something funny on the sign, people noticed, and he just decided to use this power, if you will, and to just try to make people laugh. Like, honestly, people spread good in the world a number of different ways. Even if it's just dairy related puns, it still can make a huge, huge difference in the world. And I am personally delighted by cows have hooves because they lactose. It took me a second to remember that one, but I got there. We've talked about so many different ways people are spreading love and light and positive things into the world, whether it's a radio program for refugees or making different signs to put in people's yards that say words of encouragement, or like just making dairy puns on a sign in your town. I love it. I love it so much. Can more people just like put funny things in unexpected places? I love it so much. And honestly, sometimes it's the unexpected laughs and the unexpected love and care and encouragement that can really have the biggest impact on us because we're not looking for it. It catches us by surprise, and that can make someone's day. That can turn someone's day completely around. So, hey, doing awesome things, making people laugh. And I'm curious, actually, what are some of your favorite places to find humor, maybe where you don't expect it, or to find encouragement, maybe that you don't expect it? Like, where are some of the places that you absolutely love to? I love finding it on bumper stickers. I love finding it like on different pieces of like bulletin boards and stuff where there's just like someone took the extra time to throw a few puns in there, and I'm just incredibly delighted by that. Or, if you're reading something like a Terry Pratchett book where every sentence is like 3 jokes. And I honestly, when I read Terry Pratchett, sometimes I'll read an entire paragraph and be like, what? Because maybe I read it the first time for context. And you can't always read it for context because he's just so funny. If you like reading wit to just the nth degree, if you have not read any Terry Pratchett, I highly, highly recommend it. All right, friends. Well, we covered everything from kitty cuddles to video game accomplishments to somehow we ended up at Terry Pratchett, and I guess I'm not mad at that ever. Probably. I thank you so much for being here with me this week. It means a lot to have you listening in, to see your responses. Again, I'm on social media at Miss Mary Lou if you want to send me some good news from your week. If you come across a news article that is something sciencey and positive, or something that makes you laugh, or anything at all, I love hearing from you. For those of you that have hopped on the Discord or Patreon or YouTube or anywhere, it really, really means a lot. It means a lot to see you there. And it's really encouraging for me, for sure, to let me know that I'm on the right track with things, friends. All right, my loves, I hope you have a really fantastic sort of day. And I will see you next tea party. This podcast is lovingly produced, directed, written, and created by yours truly, Miss Mary Lou Ryan. Our music was composed and performed by Jacob Kahn. Our logo designed by Hilda Meyer-Post. And if you'd like to spread a little positivity into the universe, I would love wherever you are tea partying with us to spread the words with those who could use a little cheer in their cuppa. Thank you so, so much for listening, and I'll see you next week.